today to talk about paid search affiliates, and the topic is the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to start it off by having Seth introduce himself, and he'll be running through the first half of the presentation, and then I will join at the end. If you have any questions as we go, I'm sure most of you are familiar with GoToMeeting webinar, but if you aren't, there's a question box in your navigation panel, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask as we go. We'll probably cover them at the end. If it makes sense to pick up a question as we're going through, we'll do that as well. So Seth, I'd love to introduce you, Head of Marketing at Savings.com, and take it away.
Thanks, Lori. Great to be here, and yeah, really excited to talk about paid search in the affiliate space. So quick background on Savings.com. We're a leading deal and coupon site, basically a database of promo codes and deals for pretty much any merchant that you can imagine out there. And as Lori mentioned, I'm head of marketing, and so with that, kind of oversee all of our marketing activities, but especially the direct response and paid search side of things. And yeah, I think it's a fascinating topic, so we can kind of jump in, I guess. You know, as many know, this space has been around a long time, and I guess, here's a few quick notes. Yeah, presentation will be about 20 or 30 minutes, and yeah, feel free to enter questions in the chat window too. We're happy to look at those. So we can go to the next slide. So Clint Eastwood, here we go. Search engines are a wild west, and you know, it's a very established channel. Affiliate marketing and paid search have been around a long time, and I think from a consumer standpoint, you know, the results and what people get out of search is as good as ever. But from the management side, for affiliates and for networks and for merchants, there's just a lot of complexity. So behind the scenes, you know, what's happening in order to produce these super relevant and super targeted results requires a lot of work. So if we jump to the next slide here, we can see, you know, what's driving this is something that we're all familiar with in our own lives. The proliferation of devices. People are looking for deals on the go. They're looking for deals on their phones. They're looking for deals on tablets. They are searching all over the place. And so Google, to account for this, introduced a feature enhancement last year called Enhanced Campaigns. And it basically made it more seamless for advertisers to manage their paid search across all these different segments and channels. And so while this is a great thing and it allows paid search affiliates and merchants more power than ever to reach people, it also has made management of the channel probably harder than ever. You know, and I mentioned here in the second bullet, it's harder to enforce rules that are given to Trademark Plus affiliates. I guess I should mention, so paid search, you know, is obviously a term in the industry. Trademark Plus, it refers to the idea of partnering with merchants and being able to bid on their terms, their deal and coupon terms, and ultimately the top providers in the space really are able to prove out that we drive incremental sales and we manage their brand and that kind of thing. But yeah, right here, some challenges because of these changes. So, you know, staying on the good, if we go on to the next slide here, there are certainly some benefits that partnering with top flight and kind of, you know, the best providers in the industry can give merchants. So, you know, first of all, if you look at the search page, merchants really only can control at best 2 listings. You know, in this example here, you know, Walmart doesn't have a paid ad on the landscape. So essentially there's 9 listings that are third parties beneath Walmart's top listing on this term. And I think what we found in this industry is just that, you know, merchants don't have the time necessarily to really drill down on coupons and do an exceptional job providing the deals that people are looking for. They certainly have pages on their sites that can be useful, but we've definitely found that the data supports the fact that consumers sometimes want to visit third-party sites. They want to feel like they're cross-shopping and making sure they're getting the best deal before they check out. And so with that, partnering with a top affiliate can help merchants kind of control the sector a little bit more. So a few more things on the good. Ideally, when you work with a paid search affiliate, you also are working in conjunction with the merchant's in-house SEM team, and of course, really adhering to the deals and the ad copy and the language that that merchant would like to display. One thing is the paid ads offer a little bit more flexibility than organic results. Now, Google certainly on the organic side is crawling things more than ever, but with real-time feeds and data that's being able that is in ad copy and has changed consistently in ad copy, we actually find that that partnership can benefit merchants, because if there's a certain deal that's running for the weekend with Macy's, we can highlight that deal and really drive people to the types of products that the merchant would like to sell. So, the last thing that can be a benefit, I talked about this world of devices, and the deal and coupon industry, it really is amazing, more so than almost any that I've seen. The shift to mobile has been dramatic. So this chart is actually from the end of last year, and we're quickly approaching where half of all deal and coupon searches are happening on a smartphone. The searches on a smartphone are actually 2x even that of a tablet, and what that really shows is that people are on the go, or they're even just on their couch looking at their phone and not, I guess, too lazy to reach over and open up their laptop. But the reason that a paid search affiliate can kind of help with this complexity is that it's very different messaging and deal promotion and kind of deal curation that merchants want to consider on phones. And one thing I think that all of the top flight paid search affiliates have done is update their back-end software so they can report to merchants how are people consuming deals on their smartphones versus how are they consuming them on desktop. And it can be very different, and even just having simple information like the types of deals that are converted on those respective devices, I think it's an area that even provides a benefit outside of the pure sales, because it's really showing merchants this is how your customers are shopping. So with that, there certainly are a lot of benefits that kind of can come by managing a great paid search affiliate program. But there's challenges too, and this complex world that we're in digital marketing, really means that there needs to be standards and kind of rules in place from the outset. So, these are some of the best practices that we have found. As I said, there's not just savings.com. There's actually a handful of other advertisers who really do know the paid search space. They really add value, and so we actually realize that merchants are usually choosing more than one. Because it's an auction that we're dealing with on the search page, 2 or 4, 224 is really kind of the ideal number to work also with the merchant's own paid search ads. Thinking about cost and thinking about the types of bids that those partners are going to submit. That's something that when you choose a paid search affiliate, you do have a little control over, because you essentially, as a merchant, are giving the trademark rights to that partner. And so with that, I think it's important that merchants set out expectations about bids. They set out expectations about ad copies. And also, really determine the types of deals that they want them to use in the channel. Sometimes they're deals that are just for affiliates, and sometimes they're deals that merchants want to promote, through their own channels like email newsletter. So another thing to watch for, so this is, I have it listed as the bad, but again, I guess it's kind of an opportunity. There's a lot more reporting and insight that the engines are giving us. And I think it's important for merchants from the outset to kind of ask their paid search affiliates to provide some of this. So what I have right here is a report called the Google Auction Insight Report. And it really gives you a comprehensive look at exactly what is happening on the paid search landscape, down to percentages and actual positions. So one thing that merchants will say sometimes is, well, we want our own internal SEM team to have the top listing, and that's that's really valid, and I think something that everybody tries to adhere to. Realistically, because of quality score and because of the ways that ads are listed on the page, it can be hard to get that 100% of the time. So when you look at a report like this, you could set a threshold and say, okay, well, 98% of the time, really, the merchant ad should appear on the top. We know the way that Google tests and serves that, there might be 1 or 2% that it doesn't happen like that. But what this is, what this really does is show us real data that we can talk about, and it's the actual results, not just a screenshot that is being sent over between affiliate and network and merchants. So another feature that Google has introduced, and Bing has some capabilities like this as well, you can set up direct reporting from AdWords to send it out to networks and to send it out to even the merchants. So sometimes when there's a really kind of competitive landscape, and certainly I think most merchants and networks want weekly reporting, but even on a daily basis, you can get some of this information sent directly to you if you add somebody's email address in there. So this is kind of a step for paid search affiliates to make, because you have to give access to your AdWords accounts. But I think if it's done in the right way, it sets up a lot of transparency and, again, provides more data, and more in this case is always better. Okay, so getting into the ugly, I guess what I've described so far is, there's opportunities in the paid search affiliate landscape, and there are some challenges too to managing that. But if those in that middle section of the bad, if those challenges are managed the right way, it actually can give you more insight. There's certainly in the affiliate space is also this third section, the ugly, and that is the whole host of nefarious and kind of affiliates, untrustworthy affiliates that are out there that merchants and networks really have to be on top of. And in a lot of cases, they're not trying to add any value; they're just trying to make a quick buck. And it's always probably going to be a reality of online advertising and of the affiliate space. So I think in a lot of ways, it's probably better than it was, 5 or 10 years ago. But again, we have to use tools like Search Monitor and some of these internal tools within AdWords and Bing to try to fight it off. So this is something, every day there can be people showing up on, a merchant's trademark terms. And I think if a merchant or a trademark holder from the start is really paying attention to their trademark and using a monitoring service, they're going to be in a better position to just keep anybody out who they don't want using their trademark in ad copy. Really quick, I'll just, for people who aren't intimately familiar with this, basically you can show an ad against somebody's trademark if they search on Best Buy coupons, but the trademark holder has the power to prevent anybody from using that trademark in the ad copy. And if you prevent those kind of rogue advertisers from using it in ad copy, it really takes all ability for them to monetize or to do anything to your brand. And I get the second step is, so I have the AdWords trademark complaint form here. Working with your Google team or filling out that form, if you follow through with it, within at least a week or two, it really will allow you to kind of clean up anybody who's violating your trademark. And I guess in this next slide here kind of shows an example of what you can get. I mean, so this is if somebody searches on, a coupon for, in this case, like AT&T or Uverse, it's possible to end up on a page that doesn't even have any deals. And that's because in the case, in this case, this affiliate is trying to drive installs of the toolbar. And so again, just looking what's out there, looking what partners are doing, and making sure that the deals that merchants want are being highlighted is really important. So, I think this is why when we started talking to the Search Monitor here at Savings, I mean, we actually are a user ourselves of the Search Monitor, and I think if there's any theme that I'd like people to take away, it's just that more information is better. And so, I mean, some of that information you get from internal tools, some of that information you get from the search engines. Certainly the affiliate networks have a lot of data and reporting as well. And these third-party tools, if they're set up the right way and if they're managed, also just give you another layer of insight that, again, you know, when you check in with merchants and networks as a paid search affiliate, it gives you another level of information that you can provide. And I think, you know, beyond just driving sales, which, I mean, certainly that's the primary focus that we all have, I think trust and respecting and kind of being a good steward of merchants' brands is something that has really become important in the paid search affiliate space. So, you know, more tools and more information help us achieve that. And I think the last thing, so just, you know, on that note, communication is important. Easy to say, sometimes harder to do, but I think the point that's worth noting is that there are a lot of parties involved in this process. So there's at minimum kind of 3 or 4. And the more that everybody can be on the same page and make that communication efficient, I think the better. And we've seen that ourselves when we work with merchants and we kind of lay out a lot of these rules, we lay out these standards, we lay out these expectations in the beginning, it makes for much less of a headache as time goes on. And, you know, that's important because then I think everybody's focus can be on higher order activity and driving more sales and, you know, the fun stuff that we all like to do in this industry rather than, you know, getting into messy details about is somebody using a deal that's incorrect or is the landing page inaccurate. I think at the end of the day, you know, all parties really do want to try to succeed and help their partners succeed. So setting up those expectations from the beginning, yeah, we found that to be really important.
Thank you, Seth. So this is a part where the Search Monitor comes in and starts talking about the ugly, which is the compliance side of working with affiliates through paid search. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Search Monitor, we monitor ads across search engines and also organic listings across shopping engines and display networks for multiple reasons. Some of our clients are using us for competitive insights, and some are using us for insights on their trademarks, brand bidding by competitors and by affiliates, so more on the side of compliance. So we're going to go through some steps that you can take to sort of, I love the Wild West analogy. We have the Clint Eastwood here. I hope no one takes offense. We put a dog collar on Clint Eastwood. I know that's like maybe sacrilege, but how do we tame the environment so that everybody can play together on search and do the good things that Seth was talking about at the beginning, which is, you know, Walmart can't occupy all 10 organic listings. They can't occupy all 10 paid search ads, which means they really only have the opportunity to have, you know, maybe 20–30% of the page owned if they're lucky, and the rest of the page is sort of open for competitors. So filling in with affiliates makes all the world of sense, but of course that has to be governed so that messaging is on target, bidding doesn't get out of control, so cost per click is controlled, and so that rank is proper. So those are the types of things that we help our clients do, sort of tame, not stop, but tame it. So monitoring tools like the Search Monitor assist with that. And so from our system, we see what you can't see. So a monitoring tool can do large volumes of keywords, for example, see what's going on during different hours of the day. You know, you could sit there for hours and just click the search button and get different results every time. That's not practical for a person to do unless you're Homer Simpson or something like that. But for a real person, that wouldn't be a real job. Geo-targeting, you know, ads can be geo-targeted, which is awesome, but it also allows for a lot of hidden things to happen in different countries or states or at the city level, even at the DMA level. And then the devices are key because we all have smartphones nowadays, and you know, we spend more time on them. We wake up in the morning, the first thing we do is check our email. The next thing we do is probably go online and do some task that we need to do for a personal task. So finding a coupon for something or a promo code is probably part of that list. So you're going to find, more and more mobile becomes important. So being able to see ads on desktop, on mobile, and what they look like differently is really key to helping you understand what's happening. Now, before I get to the next one, there's also stuff like remarketing going on that if you haven't looked into it, you should look into search remarketing, because we're about to launch into tracking and monitoring for search remarketing because there's a lot of opportunity for getting your message out in a remarketing sort of way, which also leads to compliance issues as well. Then the next thing is answering questions by trending the key performance metrics that drive you. This is personal to each one of you, so I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but there's some sort of best practices that people look at, like ranking. What are your affiliates allowed to do? Can they outrank you? On what types of keywords are they allowed to show up? Are they allowed to brand bid or not? On strictly brand terms, are they allowed to do brand plus or not? If you have given rights only to 3 or 4 affiliates, you want to make sure that they're the only ones there so that they actually can be successful for you. So that's important. We're looking at reach. Sometimes it's really helpful, not just from a compliance standpoint, but just sheer how good are we doing, looking at the reach of your affiliate program on the search results versus your competitors, just to get a gauge. How good is your affiliate team at promoting you? What kind of reach do they have? Can you improve that? And then also looking at the competition. So a lot of our clients will come to us with just very basic high-level questions like, I noticed my cost per click increased last month and we don't know why. Can you help us figure that out? And some of that is simply just looking at the landscape, and we can see sometimes an advertiser will drop off the landscape. Another one will replace them. Sometimes additional advertisers will swoop in. So all of those things can come into play. Just the competitive landscape can change how it affects your click-through rate. It can affect your cost per click. Your market share can change. So looking at those types of things matter. And sometimes it's a matter of one of your competitors may have just gotten really, really good at getting their affiliates out there and taking up some of that real estate, and you didn't do as good of a job, and so you noticed a change. So looking at trends and looking at the data really carefully can change just the way that you see the world and how you then take action. And then also, because we have such a big network of clients and keywords that we've been monitoring for over 8 years, we have this profiles that we've been building on affiliates, and then we look at their paid search advertising behavior and sort of give you an idea of where they fall. So are they good, bad, or ugly, so to speak. We assign a threat level to each affiliate, and you can always go into that tool and do some research on anyone that's working with you and see how they've been behaving for other advertisers or across your network. Just a quick little chart on what it kind of looks like spread out. This kind of I always think this looks worse than it really is, because as we'll go through in the next few slides, you have to look at everything in perspective. For the most part, affiliates are doing a good job. They comply. They want to comply. Like Savings.com does a great job of trying to comply. That's why they showed you, Seth was showing you all those tools that his team uses, and he's very transparent with his partners, and they're willing to share information. And that puts them squarely into the good side. They're working hard to make sure that everything's gelling the way that the SEM team over at the big brand wants. Then there's, the smaller percentage, we call them the bad. They're doing some things they shouldn't, but they're not horrible. And then the ugly, those are where we would place like our direct linkers, those that are just literally ripping off your name, creating ads using your copy, and then sending traffic directly through an affiliate link. Usually that's prohibited in an affiliate program, and we have to spend a lot of time trying to research who these affiliates are that are doing that, and they keep cropping up. They'll take down their ad and then do it again, sign back up to the affiliate program under a completely different ID, and it's just like the cycle continues. So that's sort of the battle that we face on a regular basis, is start hunting those down. Cleaning those folks up. Those are the ones that are really making it harder for brands to really see their true metrics and performance, because they're getting kicked off keywords because of direct linking. So now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to deal with this compliance stuff, and really my job that I want to deal with is growing revenue and recruiting more affiliates for that and providing them with offers, doing all the fun stuff that revenue entails. And compliance is just sort of this time-consuming activity that obviously has to be done. If it's not, like when we first started the company in 2007, we just discovered a very messy universe out there because there hadn't been a lot of compliance going on at all, so it kind of was, people were doing whatever they wanted. Things are definitely a lot better now, but there's still stuff going on. But how do we sort of narrow it down so we're not spending hours a day on compliance, and we try to make it super fast and something that's just can be, you know that you can set it and feel good about it. So the first things you need to do is define what you're looking for. What are your affiliates allowed to do? This would be all defined in your affiliate agreement. How's the ranking rules? What are they allowed to do on brand or brand plus terms? That all needs to be defined. If you define it really well up front and have a good, solid scope, then you'll know what you're going to be looking for from a compliance standpoint. Direct linking, are affiliates allowed to direct link? Sometimes they are. Usually they're not, but in the case where maybe you have a weak paid search program, direct linking might actually help you. Sometimes we see shopping engines direct linking. They're not affiliates. They're doing arbitrage. So that's also something to really pay attention to, because we've been seeing this happening more and more over the past couple of months, where a shopping network will actually push clicks through their link, then a couple links down, and then to your website, so it kind of looks like a click happened on a shopping engine when it was really an arbitrage click coming from Google or Bing. And then lastly, defining what kind of offers are allowed. Who's allowed to use your promo codes? What can they say? I mean, you can look at just this one example, and there's two totally different offers. There's 30% off at the top and 40% off. These are paid ads. They're obviously in direct conflict. It doesn't look good for Patagonia to have two totally different offers that look really like the exact same deal. Maybe when you click through, there's some different nuance to it, but these are the types of things that you want to make sure are not happening, so that messaging is consistent. And monitoring ad copy for every little thing would be impossible to do manually. So to streamline that process, you would use a tool and tell it what your parameters were, and it would just flag the pieces of copy that are problematic. So here's where it gets, how do I spend my time, where do I focus? We oftentimes find clients sort of all over the place because they want to stop everything. They have a zero tolerance. I guess, to be honest, that having zero tolerance is just going to make your job really, really difficult. It just means that you're tracking down everything that's possible, and it's very time consuming if that's your stance. It's better to have a risk level of some amount that you're willing to deal with, and then go after the big stuff. So when you're trying to lay it out for yourself, like what is the big stuff, and obviously your whole company needs to be on board with this, or if they're not, then you're going to get some emotional outbursts probably in meetings where people look up a random keyword and say, what's going on here? So you want to make sure that everyone's on board, but pinpoint what the important keywords are. You know, this is personal to you. You have to think about this. You know, there's branded keywords that have typos in them that really don't get a lot of searches. They may be close to 0 impressions a month, and worrying about what's happening on those keywords is more of a headache and costing you more in your own time than it's worth. Like something like overstork.com with www and a space and then another space and then the .com, or even some other variation of typos, may not be worthwhile. So you really have to think about what keywords make sense for my business and which ones am I going to overlook just because I don't have time. Then you want to look at the measurable impact. So we have, in our tool, we have a stat that shows you the reach. So in this particular instance, for Allied Shirts, there's a direct linker. They're brand bidding on Bing. It makes up 4% of all searches are seeing this ad, so 96% aren't. That's personal to you. If you think 4% is terrible and this must be pulled down immediately, then you should go after it, of course. If 4% is not that big of a deal to you because you have a lot of other things going on, you need to weigh that. So it's important to see how to weigh this information and then decide, what am I going to do? with this data. The same thing comes for rank displacement. So we have a report we call knockout chart. We look at, you know, what percentage of the time were other advertisers in position 1, for example, if that's the key spot that you want to be in. And then you can decide if it's worth it. I mean, you know, there's quality score that comes into play, and obviously bidding and targeting affects who's going to be in position 1. If you're worried about it, and you know, 98% of the time you're in first place, you're probably doing the best you can. If you see something like here where there's tons of different advertisers sort of fighting, then maybe it's time to take some action against maybe an affiliate that shouldn't be having that much page presence and deal with it. So these are things to consider and think about up front, maybe define internally in your organization and then decide what you're going to go after. And then there's automation. As much as you can automate as possible so that you can leave it up to a tool to take care of what you need is really key, because that will save you tons of time. I mean, like in a search monitor, we try to automate as many things as we possibly can for clients. We continue to innovate on that front because we just know that the last thing you feel like dealing with is the minutia of, is this ad still running and did it get taken down and what do I need to do with it? So to that end, you want to make sure that you can get alerts on your specific rules and requirements of your program, and you can send those alerts and emails out to affiliates or search engines easily so that they can make any corrections that need to occur. So some of the features that we have allow you to do that. You can also auto-submit through Google and Bing's trademark forms through our system, so you can actually send, if you found 100 advertisers that were doing the wrong thing, you could send them all at once in bulk to make it really easy. And my last little tip that I just want to leave you with, it's not here on the slide, was just don't get emotional about this stuff. If you have someone in your organization that sort of gets upset every time there's something going on the search engines, it all needs to be put into perspective. Like 4%, is that a lot or a little? Sometimes you'll find things happening 0.2% of the time. It's so small. Or on a keyword, like I mentioned before, that has tiny amount of impressions, near zero. Maybe you're the only one that's ever searched for it in the whole year. Nobody saw it. So don't get bent out of shape too much. Just figure out what your risk tolerances are as an organization and then go from there. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We have plenty of time for questions, so if anyone has any questions they'd like to post, please feel free for either Seth or myself. We have a question about monitoring. I guess this is for both myself and Seth. It says, my monitoring tool doesn't look down to the city and state level. Is that really important? I'll just give my perspective really quickly, and then Seth has to weigh in on that. But yes, definitely, a lot of advertisers are geo-targeting, and it's important to know where the geo-targeting happens so that if you do want to give your affiliate the chance to take action, that they can find the ad group in their account that's causing the problem. And so by telling them what location was involved, that'll help them make their adjustments.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think from a paid search standpoint, you know, it's again kind of like Lori said, from the beginning, if you define your goals and objectives, and if geo is important to your organization and to your business model, then I think you might want to look into that. I think the thing to be cautious about is you can get very granular and too granular very quickly. There's a lot of, you know, whether it's by zip, city, or state, I mean, you can really get into thousands and thousands of segments. So I think before anybody makes that decision, they should just decide, okay, what does it matter for us, and how long is it going to take us to actually enact some of this stuff?
Seth, there's another good question here. It says, can you talk about bid caps? Some advertisers are not concerned with them. Their attitude is that if an affiliate wants to spend more money to bid, let them. Can you explain the ultimate impact on the advertiser if there are no bid caps?
Yep. So, I mean, we always try to look at it from the merchant standpoint, like how does it benefit the merchant? Because ultimately, like they're our partner, and So that, you certainly could say that without a bid cap, just let people fight it out and let costs escalate. I think what we find is that it's better to have kind of a healthy and strong and solid group of really trusted partners, and to be able to have those people be successful. If there's no bid cap in place, a lot of times, what that means is it is more of that Wild West. It is more unregulated. And I mean, ultimately, I think the best paid search affiliates, when there is a bid cap and costs are kind of monitored and contained, the best paid search affiliates, work to reinvest some of that money into other programs, whether it's email or paid placements. So yeah, I think that in a lot of cases, this is a mature industry, and it is important to, from the outset, just kind of set some standards so you're setting everybody up for success.
Next question. Someone's asking about recruiting good affiliates. Does monitoring data help with that? Seth, I think I'll let you answer that question.
Sure. Yeah, I would say it's a good starting point. I mean, like I said, more information is better. And so if a merchant's out there looking for affiliates, the monitoring data and even some of the publicly available data out there will tell you what certain affiliates are up to. I think the networks are always obviously a great resource because they've been involved in this in a long time, and certainly for us, partnering with them and kind of, they can tell the story of affiliates as well, and they know that certain affiliates have expertise in different areas. So I think it's one piece of the puzzle, but I mean, ultimately, I'd also think that merchants would want to ask their networks about that.
Yeah, and on the Search Monitor, one of our reports will tell you, we mentioned before, threat ratings of rating things as affiliates with a good rating helps you narrow down who the top affiliates are. There's also more to it than that, though. There's also looking at their reach and how they advertise, and maybe you might want to look at competitive merchants and who else they work with, and we can provide that information also. Helps you put it in perspective. All right, here's another question. How realistic and effective would it be for advertisers to just require their partners to negative phrase match the brand's name in all their search campaigns and ad groups? So basically block out the ability to advertise ever on the brand name. That's what I'm reading.
Yep, so I think that question relates to being really targeted on just what we call the trademark plus, or the specific deal terms that deal with the trademark. I would say it's pretty realistic in that a paid search affiliate should be able to meet any negative matching request. I certainly know, again, for us and for our main competitors, everybody, we're all experts. We all know how to use the tools, and negative matching is a way to ensure that ads aren't showing up on searches that the merchant doesn't want.
We're getting a lot of questions. This is so cool. I currently use a combination of Google tools for monitoring my affiliates. What am I specifically missing by not using a third-party tool? I know what the Search Monitor would say, but Seth, I think you probably have a better perspective on that since you do use lots of different tools.
Yeah, I would just say that there are many times when through a third-party tool we discover something that we haven't caught in one of these other areas. And again, this is something that I think for us in the paid search affiliate industry and on the monitoring side, like we spend all day doing this, and so it really benefits us to have that information. And I actually think that the merchants and the network should encourage all of us to kind of just source all these different areas, because that is kind of what it takes to have a good read on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we find sometimes the free tools that you can get aren't good for the sort of the time-saving mode where you're trying to get alerts or automate something or even look at trends over time. You can get snapshots in time, but having a trend view isn't usually available through some of those tools. So you usually want to use multiple tools to get the full perspective of what's going on. There is another question here, Seth. We kind of put you on the spot, but it says the search monitor is a feature that savings.com will utilize. We partner with them? Question mark.
Meaning savings.com?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. We are a client of the search monitor, and we've used it for a long time. You know, along, as I said, with some other tools. But so that's really, I mean, I think the extent so far. Like I said, the bevy of information that's available there is helpful, and yeah, it's really helped our team kind of keep a handle on things.
I think that's it for today. If anyone has any follow-up questions for either Seth or myself, our contact information is here on this last slide. We'll happily answer your emails. If you want a copy of the presentation, please let us know. We'll send that out to you as well. Seth, do you have any closing remarks?
No, thanks so much for attending, everybody. And